Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Welcome to another lecture, and in this part of the video we are going to continue with tenses. In the earlier part I had taught you about the present tense and all the three subcategories of the present tense, namely the simple present, the present continuous and the present perfect tense. In this lecture we are going to start with the past tense and the subcategories of the past tense. The first one is the simple past tense. The simple past tense is the first type of the tense that we are going to talk about. The first past tense that we are going to talk about. First, let us talk about the rule. The rule of the simple past tense is subject plus the second form of the verb plus the object. Very simple. There is no need for you to remember whether the subject is singular or plural. Simply the second past of the form of the verb and the object. So this is your rule for framing a sentence with the simple past tense. For example, she played football last night. Or they watched this movie last month. Or Ram sang a beautiful song. Or Rita baked a delicious. What are we talking about here? We are talking about different subjects. She, they, Ram, Rita, these are my subjects. With every subject, I only use the second form of the verb. So, played football last night, watched this movie last month, sang a beautiful song, baked a delicious cake, and so on and so forth. So these are what? These are the second form of the verb, and as you can notice, be your subject singular or plural, the second form of the verb will always. Now, how do we use the simple past tense? What are the uses of the simple past tense? The first use is it talks about a past habit or so a routine or a habit of yours that was there earlier but now it no longer prevails, we use the simple past tense for that. For example, if I say, I went for a walk every. So this is something that took place in the past. In the past, I used to go for a walk. So I went for a walk every evening. If I say, she learned to speak a new language. So this is again something that took place in the past. She had learned to speak a new language. If I give you another example, She prayed to God every evening. So she prayed to God every evening. So every evening she used to pray to God. Now she does not do that. She used to do it earlier. So those habits, those actions that were there earlier, now they no longer prevail. So such habits and such routines which used to take place in the past, we use the simple past tense to talk about that. The second use of the simple past tense is for those actions that started and finished at a specific time in the past. So if there are some actions that started and they finished also at a specified time in the past, then for those actions we use the simple past tense. For example, she washed her car yesterday. Yesterday is something which obviously is a thing of past. So this action of washing the car, this began in the past and this ended in the past also. So we use the simple past tense. If I give you another example, he went for a walk last morning. So when did he go for a walk? Last morning. So this action also began in the past and it ended in the past only. So we use the simple past tense for this. Now next use of the simple past tense is to talk about some events, actions and situations that happen a very long time ago. So something that took place a very, very long time ago is the simple past tense for that also. For example, India achieved independence in 1947. So India getting independence was something which took place long back in the year 1947. Therefore, simple past tense. If I say Vasco da Gama arrived in Calicut in 1498. So again, another event that took place very long time back, the year 1498, and therefore we use the second form of the verb, which is arrive. So for those events which took place long time back, for them also we use the simple past tense. And the last use for the simple past tense is those actions that were completed recently. So something that was completed recently, it has not been a very long time since those actions have been completed. For example, I just arrived here. So adding just, which is an adverb, it is very clear that this action, me arriving here, has taken place very, very recently. So that is why the simple past tense. If I say he just home, again the adverb just telling me that the action has completed very recently. So for that also we use the simple past tense. So what are the uses of the simple past tense? First, it is talking about some past habit of yours. Second, it talks about some action which began in the past and it ended in the past, only at a specified time. That is also the past tense, the simple past tense. The next rule for the simple past tense is it talks about some action which took place very long time ago and then some action which just completed recently. And for this rule, it is important to use the adverb just. So if you come across the adverb just in a sentence, you can be sure that you have to use the simple past tense. The second subcategory of the past tense is the past continuous tense. First of all, let us talk about the rule. Subject plus either was or were plus the first form of the verb ing and the object. So the subject plus was, were plus first form of the verb ing and the object. This is the basic rule, the basic structure of a sentence which uses the past continuous tense. Now if your subject is singular, your helping verb will be was. If your subject is plural, your helping verb will be were. For example, she was playing badminton. She is singular and that is why I used was with it. If I say they were dancing in the park. What is my subject? They. What is the helping verb that I use with they? Were. So they were dancing in the park. If I give you another example, my neighbors were celebrating Christmas. Again, I'm talking about my neighbors, which is plural, so I use were with it, followed by the first form of the verb and ing. So this is how the basic structure of the past continuous tense is framed. Now, what are the uses of the past continuous tense? Simply, it talks about that action that was going on at a certain time in the past. Was going on. So, was going on means some action which continued for a long time in the past. Okay. Something that did not just begin and ended that very moment. Something that continued for a long time. For example, like I've shared with you a lot of examples already. Mohit and Suraj were flying kites. So what is my subject? Mohit and Suraj. Plural they are, that is why I use were and flying kites. So an action of flying kites is something that will obviously take a lot of time for you to do that. So that is why we use the past continuous tense for that. If I give you another example for the same, if I say, I was preparing for my exams. So was preparing for some exam is again something that takes a very long time. So that is why was preparing, so the past continuous tense. If I give you another example, Peter was completing his assignment. So completing an assignment is again something which takes time, and therefore we will use the past continuous tense. So where do we use the past continuous tense? To talk about some action that took place in the past but it continued for a very long time. The last subcategory of the past tense is past perfect. So past perfect tense is the last subcategory. Before we move on to this, let us talk about the rule. It says subject plus had plus the third form of the verb and be not. This is the only rule for making a sentence in the past perfect tense. For example, Ram had done his work. What is my subject? As the rule suggests, I have only one helping verb to use in past perfect tense, which is had. Third form of the verb is done. Do, did, done. So done. And what has he done? He's done his work. If I give you another example, Peter had eaten her lunch. Again, subject is Peter. According to the rule, I have to use had, followed by the third form of the verb, eat, ate, eaten. So Peter had eaten. I give you another example. They had decided to buy a car. So what is my subject? They, rule, had and decided is the third form of the verb. So they had decided to buy a car. Now this is the basic rule of the past perfect tense. Now what are the uses for the past perfect tense? First, so it is used for an action that was completed before some other action in the past. So it is used for some action which was completed before some other action in the past. There was some other action which took place and this action got completed at that time. So that is when we use the past perfect tense. For example, when I reached the station, the train had already left. There are two actions which are taking place in this sentence if you observe. You reaching the station and the train leaving the station. Now, which action took place earlier? The train had left when you reached the station. So, before you had reached the station, the train had already left. So, some action which took place earlier, we always use the past perfect tense. So, the train had already left. If I give you another example, I had just reached home when it began to rain. Again, two actions, you reaching the home and it beginning to rain. Which action took place earlier? You reaching the home. And therefore, we use the past perfect tense for that. So, I plus had and third form of it. Now, as you have noticed in the above two examples, such sentences make use of adverbs like just and already. So, if you come across the words just and already in a sentence wherein there are two actions being talked about, then you have to remember that you will use the past perfect. So, my dear students, what were the three subcategories of the past tense? We talked about the simple past tense, that we talked about the past continuous tense, and the last one that I just explained to you was the past perfect tense. So, I will now see you all in the last part of my video wherein we will talk about the future tense. So, I'll see you soon.